Hi guys, welcome to the Nashville Youth Design Team Summer Youth Voice Exhibition.
We are very excited that you are spending the next hour with us. We'll start off by telling you about our team and what we've been working on for the past year to understand youth wellness in Nashville. Then we'll present some designs that we've created to address the challenges that we've seen in our work. At the end, we'll invite you to vote on the design intervention you think we should take on first.
The Nashville Youth Design Team is an internship that we all started in July of 2020. We are 14 high school students that come together from neighborhoods all across Nashville. We have spent the last year trying to answer a question that's important to all of us. What do young people need to be healthy and well?
Start from the beginning and tell you all about our process of understanding and addressing youth wellness in Nashville. When we came together just last summer, we were completely virtual because of COVID. We wanted to hear from as many young people as we could to learn about what they think about their neighborhoods. We decided that a map would be the best way to show what was going on in different neighborhoods across the city. Then we got to working on it.
Our research is about how neighborhoods impact youth wellness. We think about 8 different types of wellness, including social connections, mental health, and opportunities to be active. We choose these 8 types of wellness because they are taught in health classes in MNPX.
First, we observed our own neighborhoods and used asset mapping to understand what assets, opportunities, and challenges we face in the built environment. We did this by taking walks around our neighborhoods and collecting what we saw into a map. We looked for things that are important to young people, like access to bus routes, sidewalks, and community resources like libraries and community centers, as well as different types of housing.
We mapped the assets in our home neighborhoods and discussed what we saw with each other. Then we made a conclusion about the things young people need to be healthy and well. For example, we connected staying active in our neighborhoods to our physical, social, recreational, and environmental wellness.
Then we created a survey and interview guide that we used to explore youth wellness in Nashville. First, we piloted the survey with our friends to improve it. Then the survey went live. In the survey, we asked young people to rate themselves on a scale of 1 to 10 on the different types of wellness before they think about how their neighborhood impacts their lives. Then they suggest improvements that could support their wellness. By the end of the school year, we had about 200 surveys.
Collecting data is where we left off last summer. But for the past 4 weeks, we've been meeting together at Belmont University to complete our map and use it to make change in Nashville.
During the first week of this summer, we learned more about the layout and build of Nashville.
We analyzed assets, opportunities, and challenges within different regions of the city.
Then we met with community organizers in Etchell. Shout out to Ms. Brenda, a longtime organizer in Etchell, who is currently on the call today, to learn about the work they've done.
After that, we learned about the people and the groups who have the most power when it comes to impacting youth wellness in Nashville. Groups like the mayor's office, the city council, and the school district.
And then the second week was all about the data.
During this week, we learned how to use ArcGIS online to add the responses from our surveys and interviews into our map. Our map is part of a dashboard that also shows interviewees' wellness scores. We'll share the link to the dashboard with you in the chat in case you want to take a look. We enter data from our survey into the map, and from this we learned that different areas of Nashville have different needs and that there are lots of areas we could focus our design on.
Each entry on the map shows a location that contributes to or takes away from students' wellness or shows a potential improvement. For example, Demaya describes a farmer's market as a potential improvement in her neighborhood and found a location where she thinks it could be added. Maria describes her work as a place in her life that detracts from her physical wellness because even though she likes it, work makes her not get enough sleep.
And then this right here is an image of the ArcGIS editor app that we utilize to enter all of our data into our map.
After all the surveys were entered, we started analyzing the data by zip codes. So in each zip code, we looked for themes and then calculated the average wellness score for each category. This shows us which wellness scores were the highest and the lowest for that area. Then we triangulated what we learned from our maps with the other important statistics about the zip codes, like school ratings or walkability scores.
After completing all the research and data analysis, we used our findings to create infographics for each zip code. Above are 3 examples of infographics made by our team.
Once we understood the important issues in each zip code, we were ready to take action.
Analyzing the map showed us a few themes that we wanted to focus on to raise awareness from the issues we have seen. We formed groups based on the interest S from the map and ended up with teams focused on 5 themes: transportations, parks and open spaces, affordable housing, food resources, and community resources.
First, we created podcasts to educate other young people about each theme we identified in the data.
Then we created advocacy campaigns we can use to make policy changes. Some of the strategies we used included writing op-eds, creating educational resources on our topic, identifying a policy agenda for our topic, and planning a community event around our theme.
During week 4, which is this week, which is Design Week. During this week, we worked with professionals from the Civic Design Center to create an intervention based on our group's built environment theme.
We started the week by writing a vision statement and goals for our design solution, and then picked a location for our intervention. Then we brought our visions to life by creating an idea board where we compiled pictures of things we would want to include in our designs. The next day, we worked with the designers to create site plans and 3D drawings of our design. Finally, we made project plans to figure out the materials we would need, the amount of time and money it would take, how to engage the community, and how to evaluate it.
Each group will now be presenting their final designs. At the end of each presentation, we will have time for about 1 to 2 questions each. We are sharing a link in the chat for a form where you can provide feedback for each group as you watch and vote on your favorite design. We are very lucky to have a $2,000 grant from the Curb Center at Vanderbilt University that will cover costs for our first build. We are excited for all of you to be a part of the process to choose our first ever Nashville Youth Design Team Wellness Intervention. Now let's get started with the group presentations.
All right, hi, we are the transportation team presenting on bike lanes on Greenwood Avenue. So first off, traffic is increasing exponentially in Nashville. It's become a huge problem over the past few years, as I'm sure most of you are well aware of. So we wanted to find a way to decrease the traffic problem, and one way was with alternate transit options like bike lanes. There are a lot of bike lanes in Nashville. However, most of those bike lanes aren't protected, and so a lot of cyclists don't feel safe biking on them, which basically renders them useless.
Before we started, we created a vision, and our vision is to create a more walkable, bikeable, and accessible Nashville without traffic. Through the implementation of this project, we are able to be a step closer to our goal.
So we decided to do Greenwood because they have a lot of speed problems. If you even just drive down the street, you'll see that there are a lot of signs in people's yards saying, please drive slower. There are 2 schools on Greenwood, which means that a lot of children walk and bike to school and work, so it's made even more dangerous for them. We've also had several interviewees who live in the area that have mentioned the constant traffic and how it stresses them out, and it just affects them negatively. So our solution was to install bike lanes with traffic calming methods to reduce car speed and provide a safer space for cyclists. There is a 2014 Vox article that details how New York City employed this method of traffic calming successfully. It actually showed that on 8th Avenue, once they implemented bike lanes, traffic was reduced by 14%.
All right, and then right here you can see a street plan of the East Nashville area where Greenwood is located. You can see the two schools that Kate was talking about with the blue and green markers. You can also see an apartment complex, and the area outlined in red is what we're proposing with our current budget, and the area shaded in purple is what we hope to do with an increased budget. So we selected Greenwood Avenue because it is on the city's priority list to change things up. As you can see, Greenwood is the street with the purple boxes on it. However, they're suggesting going all the way down to Gallatin Avenue. We are only suggesting going down to North 14th Street. And then here is a sketch of the site as it is now. You can see the Cora House School over on the left. And then here is a 3D image of the site overlaid with a sketch of how we envision it with bike lanes and barriers.
So for our project, the materials that are needed for our project are flex posts and tape, which will help us mark the bike lane buffer. When it comes to the budget, we have $2,000 to work with. However, in order to get from the intersection of Porter Road to North 14th Street, it will cost us around $10,935. Nevertheless, with the budget that we have currently, we're able to get to Gentry Avenue, which is also a very important street that leads to many other bike networks. On the next slide, we have the map to detail that a little better. As we've said before, the street is on the city's priority list, which is why we chose it. So in the red, it is detailing what the city wants to get through. It wants to get through the intersection of Porter Road all the way down to Gallatin Avenue. However, we decided to stop at North 14th Street because it would have been better to lead to many other bike network. On the star, that's where we can get with our $2,000 budget. The arrow details where we want to get if we get the full money to fund that. We decided not to go to Gallatin Pike all the way down because it wouldn't be safe. Not many people bike there, so we just thought it wasn't the best option for us, and stopping at North 14th Street would just allow for many other bike networks.
And then in terms of the installation process, we would first need to get a permit to close the road from Metro Public Works in order to actually install it. We would invite around 5 to 10 people from the community to help out. We would also lay out the tape for a buffer area between the cars and the bike lane. And then we would also put down flex posts along Greenwood around 15 feet apart. And this is a temporary installation. It'll be up for around 1 month, which gives us enough time to monitor if this really made a difference.
For maintenance, we would have NYDT members go out every other day during the month to make sure that all of the tape and flex posts are still there, haven't fallen or broken, been run over, nothing like that. Ground crews and community members are also candidates for checking up on it and making sure that everything is still functioning properly. It really just depends on who is willing to go and check up on it and who is available.
So our project wouldn't be possible without the help and partnerships of the community organizers in the city. We want to partner with Councilmember Brett Weathers from District 6, Walk Bike Nashville. We would also want to partnership with Neighbors Association of Eastwood, and then we would also need a permit, a right-of-way permit from Metro Public Works.
We want to inform neighbors all about what we're doing. So we're going to distribute flyers and inform residents what is happening in order to get their full support. We'll also need to receive a permit from Metro Public Works in order to celebrate the new bike lanes with community members.
And then for the evaluation to test that the design works, we would just note down the average speed of cars before and after we implemented the bike lanes to see what effect it does have on the traffic. We would also tally the number of bikers into our interventions to calculate the usage of the bike lane and see whether it's worth putting it in permanently, possibly. All right, and that's it. Any questions?
Hi, I'm Jackie. Thank you again so much. I'm one of those neighbors. I don't know if we're glitching. Can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me okay? Can somebody let me know?
Say no. Tell them turn off your mic and say no.
No.
I can hear you.
Okay, great. Thank you. So I'm part of Eastwood Neighbors group, so feel free to reach out if you'd like to kind of come. We haven't been meeting in person yet, but I can definitely help there. But I was curious about, you just mentioned measuring the speed. Would that be a partnership with the city, or how would y'all go about kind of seeing how fast the cars are going?
So for that, we were planning on having us, the interns, tally the speed. So we would just drive down to Greenwood and kind of just sit there and mark it down ourselves.
Cool. I didn't know how one would do that, so it piqued my interest. Thank you for the presentation and all your hard work.
And if that's all, then now I'm going to pass it on to affordable housing.
Our goal is to promote the need for affordable housing around Nashville. There are many different ways this can be done, but we decided that creating an affordable housing bus stop would be the best and most creative option. But first, let's talk about some of the issues that are facing Nashville in terms of housing. Over 30% of citizens in Nashville are unable to afford housing. With Nashville's growing population, housing prices are way out of reach for some of these families. Keep in mind that youth wellness is drastically affected by their household situation. It has been shown that housing is a determining factor for all other kinds of wellness. Not being able to afford a home can financially burden a family and can make it hard to support children.
For our visions and goals, our vision is for the youth of Nashville want a healthy, safe, and affordable housing across the city to support them in their futures. Our goal is needing to make affordable housing crisis known, get the community's feedback, and sharing their findings with officials.
Our idea was to build a bus stop with statistics and infographics to spread awareness on the topic. This idea was drawn to us because though they are very different, a bus shelter shelters people like a home, and it would be good for the community as well. Near the shelter, a cube will be built for people to share how they feel about housing in Nashville or something they learned from the bus stop. This info will be shared later with officials. Youth are one of the most impacted groups when it comes to struggles with housing, as they will be struggling physically and mentally, so we hope this bus stop will start change.
Here are some of the initial design sketches we came up with. As you can see, the bus stop would cover the bench, creating a shelter with the appearance of a house. Outside of the bus stop would be the cube, which is an interactive piece to collect data. And inside, there would be plenty of information on affordable housing.
These are the infographics that were created by our fellow NYDT interns, which will be hung inside of our bus shelter. They were created based on zip codes and including statistics about housing in those areas.
We'll be locating the bus shelter near the Madison Community Park. The location was chosen because it was close to park access, which will catch people's attention as they walk by.
And here are some of our basic renderings to visually represent what the bus stop would look like in this location.
For our materials and budget, these are the materials that we're going to be using to make the bus shelter and the interactive cube, which will all equal up to $1,593.
Our maintenance is very limited, but it will include resupplying markers if any go missing from use of the cube, and we plan to ask WeGo members and community members if they're willing to check up on it. But if the case is that none of them end up doing that, we will have NYDT interns do it. And fixing any damage that has been done to the shelter includes weather damage, physical damage, vandalism, and cleaning up the shelter.
We will need to partner with WeGo Public Transit and Make Nashville for a woodshop. We are currently trying to get a permit from the District 9 Council Member Tonya Hancock.
Because the bus stop would be bordering the community park, we think it would be easy to gain an audience that can interact with the installation. We will be utilizing social media to get feedback from the community or people who visit the park regularly. There will also be opportunities for community members to get involved with the project themselves.
Evaluation includes receiving info from people who interact with the cube and the bus stop. We will analyze and compile the data and share it with officials with hope that it will make change in Nashville's housing crisis. If you would like to help us out in our vision, you can vote for our cause. If there are no questions, we will pass it on to the glow-in-the-dark community.
Hello, we are the Community Resources Group, and we wanted to do a glow-in-the-dark crosswalk on between Dickerson Pike and Hart Lane. Problems that were faced there was that 84% of the pedestrians' deaths occurred at night. 1,636 people walking have been injured, and on our wellness map, which will be in the chat, a student from East Nashville stated that we needed more sidewalks and crosswalks in our East Nashville community. As we can see in the graph, pedestrians killed in Nashville has been on a constant rate, which shows the need for an invention to solve that problem. Our vision is to add a crosswalk on Dickerson Pike and Hart Lane to help pedestrians be more safe. We hope this will decrease the death of pedestrians in Nashville.
On the satellite map that you see, there are circles, and those circles indicate where youth would come to cross the intersection. And like this is also where we see most fatalities.
The picture of this intersection is a zoomed in picture. And as you can see, there are no intersection, but there are a lot of cars. And it looks like the intersection gets really busy during the day, rush hour.
We were inspired by the tactile urbanism design from an art walk that used beach balls to fill with LED lights and tied up by sandbags to help light up the crosswalk. We thought that this would be a really cool way to bring attention to the crosswalk and make it safer on a budget.
These are our two drawings. On the left is a site plan, which is like just a general aerial 2D view of where our design intervention would go on the intersection. The purple circles represent our lights, and the little squares in between the roads represent the sidewalks. And the 3D drawing, this is like a close-up 3D view of where our design intervention would go and what the street looks like.
So the next slide is going to show our materials, and these are all the materials and the estimated cost that we need for this project. For partnerships and permits, we are going to be partnering up with Sean Parker, Nancy Van Reese, the Tennessee Department of Transportation, and the Dale community. And for permits, we're going to need a public works lane closure permit, an off-duty police officer to help signaling, and a signal truck if possible, and then like a flagger, which could also be the off-duty police officer. For community outreach, we're going to reach out to the community people to help us install and maintain the project. We're going to use an online campaign using Facebook or other media platforms, and we're going to talk with the community physically before we get there to install our design to get their opinion just before we put it in.
To To make sure that our design works, we want to make sure that we choose the busiest time on Dickerson Pike and Hart Lane, which is obviously rush hour in the afternoon. We want to count how many people cross during rush hour. And then after we put our design in there, we want to count how many people use a crosswalk during rush hour. And then we want to ask crossers if they're willing to answer any questions of ours. Thank you. Do you have any questions?
I do. This is Jason. So it looks like you wouldn't use all of the budget for just that one crosswalk. Is that right?
No, we wouldn't.
Okay, so that seems like a great design and something that you could model with this crosswalk and then possibly expand to other crosswalks that would be in need of the same solution. It's a really good job of staying within budget.
Yeah, we totally agree. I think that if we have any remaining money, we're going to use it to find more intersections or more places that are dangerous for pedestrians.
Yeah, great job.
Thank you.
If that is all the questions you guys have, we're going to pass it on to Parks and Green Open Spaces.
Hi, we are the Parks and Open Spaces group. For our idea, we kind of decided to do like a 2-day pop-up festival at the Warner Park Nature Center. The problem we identified is that there are many parks in Nashville that are designed only for kids, and teens often lack a lot of resources. And when we were interviewing other youth for our wellness map, there were a lot of them that talked about needing better parks without litter and that kind of thing. For example, there was a 6th grader that said, putting a park that teens can go to can help youth have better physical and social wellness. The vision statement we have is that in Nashville's parks, we strive to make all ages feel welcome and to have activities for everyone. We aim to make an inclusive, diverse, and outdoor space. Some of the goals we have are to have an outdoor study area, an open space for sports, make it inclusive for all ages, and we wanted to add on to existing parks that lack resources for teens. Like I said earlier, this is our idea for our design solution. The location we chose is the Warner Park Nature Center, which is off of Highway 100 and Old Hickory Boulevard, which is near Bellevue. The reason we chose this location is because it has a lot of open space and it's already quite a popular area. So we thought if we added things to it, it would make it a more interactive space.
So just like Uma was saying, there is a lot of open space. So we were thinking if we added things like a soccer court, cornhole, just all kind of interactive games that all ages could use, it would kind of help. And one really good idea that we thought of was the drawing on like the sidewalks that we had, just because it would be a good idea for design.
All right, so on the next slide, the one that you're looking at right now is a ground view of what the space that we're trying to occupy for this pop-up event, where you see the rocks of where the food trucks are going to be that you will see in the next slide in the satellite view.
So we were thinking that we could use all this open space and we could make it into like something better. We could add soccer courts, volleyball nets, and all kinds of like food trucks, cornholes, games that we could just use to have a good time. And this is kind of more of a close-up. You can see the food trucks, you can see the cornhole, you can see the soccer courts. This is just like a closer-up vision. So we were thinking, we know that our budget is $2,000, so we kind of just like made a list and the amount of everything that we would be using. And if we did use all of these materials, our total would be 1,350, which means we would have enough and we would have more to spare. Um, and the reason why there's no like amount for food trucks is because we would have like food trucks volunteer.
All right, and then for installation and maintenance, it's not really much since this is a pop-up event. We'll have NYTD members to help set up, and then afterwards we will have also NYTD members to come through and then pick up trash and litter. So we leave the park the way that we found it. And then with partnerships and permits and then outreach, so we are currently trying to partner up with Friends of Warner Parks and Greenways for Nashville um, to help provide space as well as help promote this event. And then we are also talking to Metro Parks to see if they're interested in hosting any future events um, if this works. So during our evaluation, we'll first ask how many visitors normally visit the park before the event, and then we'll see how many visitors come to the event, my bad. And then after the event, we'll count and see if we made any type of significant change to the amount of visitors and people who get involved with the park. And then we'll ask questions in a fun and unique way with a question normally on the sidewalk written in chalk, which would be a question box. Some things that you might see is what do you want in your parks? What do you like about your parks? And what do you think can be improved about your parks? Some quick and easy questions for you to answer. And then next, we'll be opening up for questions if you have any.
Hey, is it good now? Oh, hey, I'm Sherwin. I'm one of the design fellows with the Civic Design Center. So first of all, I just want to say the site that y'all chose was great and that the design intervention was great. And so looking at like the bigger scale of the site, there's a lot of like, dense neighborhoods and different communities around the area. And from the diagrams that you guys have, like one of the issues I had noticed was that there's really no accessibility or no connections from the neighborhoods to the park. So I was just wondering that if you guys thought about like any possible future connections, maybe proposing like a trail or proposing more sidewalks to, provide more accessibilities for the people that live in surrounding neighborhoods.
So that is definitely something we've noticed. There's not really a way to get to the park without using a car. So I think in the future, adding like a bike trail or something like that would be a really good option. And now we are going to pass it on to the food resources group.
Hi, my name is Mia.
And my name is Sydney.
Our event environment theme is food resources. We wanted to bring fresh and healthy foods into the Antioch community. We felt that it was a lack of food resources in the Antioch area. Youth in Nashville may not have access to fresh and healthy foods. They are having to go to unhealthy places to buy food like gas stations. And this can be proven through statistics. 1 in 7 Nashvillians do not have access to the food they want and need. And 12% of Davidson County residents didn't have consistent access to food. Some of our visions and goals are access to fresh and healthy foods, provide markets with local produce, locate markets and local transportation. Also, allow EBT to be used to buy produce at local markets and engage food justice organizations. Our solution for this is There was a farmer's market there that was previously active in early 2019, but they shut down. And now there is no farmer's market in Antioch, so we wanted to add one. The location for this project would be the Global Mall at the crossings in the parking lot on Bell Road, right off of Bell Road.
And this is what we imagine the farmers market to look like in the next slide. It's basically just going to show murals and signs. So on the left is what the murals, like what we imagine it to look like and what the signs would possibly look like. And then on the right is what we imagine the tents on the inside to look like. And on the next slide, we basically just have a drawing that me and I made of what we envision the market to look like. And so on the left side is the overhead perspective, and then on the right is the outside perspective. So for materials and budget, our overall budget is $2,000. So we would need things like tents and paint, security, volunteers, materials for the sign, and materials for recreation. Recreation includes things like games for kids. On the next slide is our projected revenue. So projected revenue would be things like vendor fee, the nonprofit fee, and food trucks. We would also try to have food justice organizations come, and our goal would be about $9,000. And also for expanded project, we would hire professional artists. That would be about 20% of the revenue. We would also hire entertainers, that's 40%, and then musicians, that's also 40%.
For installation, it will be in the front of the main entrance of the Global Mall, adding about 15 to 25 tents, putting 1 to 2 foldable tables in the tent, adding foldable tables and chairs on top of the mural for seating, a space along the back for food trucks to be parked, and paint for the mural, which we'll use cornstarch paint, which makes it easy and removable.
So for potential partnerships, we would try to partner with the Global Mall owner, District 32 Council Member Joy Stiles, Nashville Mayor John Cooper, and also merchants selling produce, such as like fruits and vegetables, also food justice organizations, as I mentioned earlier, and a few young artists. We've also had a conversation with Ms. Joy Stiles yesterday. She informed us that they are working on a project that's similar to ours in the exact location. So we hope to partner with them on this project and add more stuff like with her. And so as for outreach, we hope to be getting feedback from people like who shopped in the farmers market, also from volunteers that live in the community, local farmers markets. We'd also be having an outreach campaign, such as marketing and branding, social media, flyers. We'll also be getting feedback from neighborhood organizations and youth participation in our art. That means like the murals.
We will have members from the Nashville Youth Design Team stand at the entrance of the market and count attendees to see how many kids, teens, and adults attend. We will invite them to share their opinions of the market on 3 sandwich boards that are posted in the market.
The sandwich boards will ask attendees what they like about the market, what they would like to see more of, and why healthy food is important to them. Our vision statement is to make sure everyone in the community has access to fresh, healthy food.
Our slogan is food for one, food for all. That is to make sure everyone has food.
Do any of you have any questions? If no one has any questions, then we'll continue with the rest of our presentation.
And that is the end of our presentations. Thank you so much for watching. Now is the time to wrap up your feedback and pick one project that you think we should build first. After the presentation ends, we'll count the votes and follow up with you over email to let you know who won.
You'll see at the end of the feedback survey that there are 4 ways for you to stay involved.
If you have design experience, you can bring your tools and come help us at our first build in the fall.
If your work is connected to youth wellness, you can be an expert panelist during our monthly research actions where we ask influential community members how we can work together to make change.
If you believe in our mission to make Nashville better with design, you or your organization can sponsor our next design intervention.
And if you know a skill that would improve our work, you can lead a workshop at our next monthly meeting.
You can also stay connected with the Nashville Youth Design Team on social media. Follow us on Instagram at Nashville Youth Design Team, where we will be posting updates on our work all year.
All right, thank you guys for attending today. We'd also like to thank the people that have supported our work throughout this internship, including Dr. Nation at Vanderbilt University, whose grant from the National Institute of Justice has funded our team since the beginning. We are also thankful to the Curb Center for funding our very first design intervention, Belmont University for donating space, and to the Civic Design Center for helping us all along the way. We'll stay on the call for a little bit in case anyone has any questions, but otherwise, have an amazing day, guys.
Hey y'all, that was awesome. I just want to say it's been such a pleasure to be a part of this project and to get to work with you all over the last week. And I'm super proud of everyone for all the hard work they put into this. And I think these all, like, seriously, all of these projects, I think I know we've talked with Melody about it, and you know, whatever gets selected will be great to get a first start, but I think we should try to work to implement all these. So yeah, great job.
Yeah, I just want to say I'm really impressed with the work y'all did. A, it was really informative, but B, it was also like really engaging, and it's really cool to see the initiative y'all are taking. It's a unique approach, so I'm excited to see what project gets selected.
Yeah, thank you so much, y'all, for sharing.
Thank you.
It's been so delightful to get to know you guys on the process. So I'm excited for you in the next journey as this gets built and to take more photos of them.
Yeah, shout out to Veronica for all these pictures. She's the one who took them all.